This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahiahi nei, kia ora, I'm Simon Anderson. Southerners who drink and drive are now more likely to be caught and hopefully less likely to harm others, thanks to 3 new vans supplied to local police. The new vans replace a single large police truck that catered for the whole southern region.
Dunedin Police have acquired a new vehicle for them to use at drink driving checkpoints. It's one of 3 new vans for the southern region and replaces a larger single truck that could only be driven by police staff who held a heavy traffic licence. Senior Sergeant Nick Lee says drivers can expect to see these new vans often on southern roads.
We've got 3 for southern districts, so as opposed to the one that was sort of shared around the district before, so you'll see a lot more high visibility checkpoints.
Lee says people need to be aware that alcohol slows down people's reaction times and is one of the major factors in fatal crashes.
Earlier this week was a case in point where we had a guy travelling down the southern motorway the wrong way with his lights off in the middle of the night, and how that didn't cause a head-on I don't know, because there was a median barrier separating the 2 lanes. The person who was in the right lane wouldn't have been expecting it. We did apprehend the driver and he blew at an incredibly high level, so his reaction time would have been next to nothing.
Over the last year, police conducted more than 170,000 breath tests in the southern region alone. And Lee says police checkpoints aren't going away.
People can expect to be breath tested any time, anywhere now.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
In breaking news, some COVID restrictions have been increased to include the township of Whakatiwai following 3 positive tests, but a change in levels is on the way. The Prime Minister says a bespoke Level 4 environment has been placed on the northern Waikato area. However, she says Level 4 areas will drop to Level 3 from midnight Tuesday the 21st of September and will last for 2 weeks. Ardern thanked the nation for mostly adhering to lockdown rules, acknowledging we're now 1 month and a day into the Delta outbreak. The rest of New Zealand is staying at Level 2, but is changing a little, with 100 now allowed in hospitality venues. The Prime Minister says more than 1 million first doses of the COVID vaccine have been administered during the last month. Dunedin's Octagon was divided on Sunday as Suffrage Day turned into a turf war between rival protest groups. There were angry scenes and accusations of assault from both sides of the tense situation in Dunedin's Octagon.
There was a skirmish in the upper Octagon yesterday when older-style feminists who disagree with a bill which has just passed its 3rd reading in Parliament clashed with members of Dunedin's trans community. If passed, the Birth, Death, Marriages and Relationship Registration Bill amendment would allow people to change their gender identity without having to provide evidence of medical treatment. Around 60 people were on the transgender rights side of the debate in the lower Octagon, but some visited the opposing group of feminists in the upper Octagon. Tracy Crampton Smith was amongst the older feminist protesters and could be heard yelling at the opposing group to behave like adults.
Back off our space! Mate, can you get her please? She's assaulting us.
Can you guys come over here?
Come on, Whaneli, go back.
Everyone can protest.
Some feminist groups are worried what the changes might mean for women-only spaces, believing the suffragettes would have fought for women's rights. While Scout Barbara Evans of Dunedin's transgender community believes the strong women who protested for women's voting rights nearly 130 years ago would have sided with them these days. Submissions closed for the inquiry into Supplementary Order Paper 59 on the Birth, Death, Marriages and Relationships Registration Bill last week. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Academic misconduct by students appears not to have increased at the University of Otago over the last 2 years. This comes after concerns were raised that online assessments and exams being held due to COVID-19 could lead to the increase of plagiarism. A report says 84 students were reprimanded for academic misconduct last year and 85 the year before. These figures contrast with figures from further north, where the University of Canterbury had a more than threefold increase in academic misconduct last year, and Lincoln University saw it double. 100 bunches of colourful flowers have been handed out to public in the Gore region. The event celebrated the centenary of an international organisation of women who work to improve the lives of women and girls throughout the world.
Marie Gentle and Deborah Wood of the Gore branch of Seroptimist International were busy unloading bunches of flowers last week to hand out to the local community to celebrate the centenary of their organisation.
Seroptimist International is 100 years this year and this month. So we're celebrating it and recognising it in Gore with the Seroptimist International Club Gore by donating 100 flowers around to our community.
The group gave out flowers to people in Gore, Riversdale and Mataura.
But we're going to drop some flowers for people to collect and take home or give to people that need an uplift in spirit, especially after all this COVID lockdown we've experienced.
Seroptimist International is a worldwide volunteer organisation for women who work to improve the lives of women and girls across the world. The Gore group celebrated its 40th birthday last year. In Gore, the South today.
Still to come on the South today, one of our southern regions is choosing to make it summertime all year round, and we talk with the head of Ngāi Tahu about how Mate Corona is affecting the southern iwi. Ka kite akua nei.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Sharpen up! My mate John sharpened his pencil this weekend. He's taken 19% off lamp and coffee tables and a whopping 50% off Optima beds. Plus there's tons more deals in store. So sharp, you'll cut yourself. No one beats John on price. Sharpen up! This weekend only at John's Furniture Warehouse, Stafford Street.
Where did you get that furniture from? Stafford Street. And my mate John.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Nau mai anō, welcome back. When New Zealand moves an hour forward into daylight saving this weekend, the tiny South Island tourist town of Te Anau will join the moves for perhaps the last time. At the end of summer, the town's clocks may stay as they are. The Fiordland Business Association is suggesting this will give visitors, many coming from nearby Queenstown, an extra hour to see the sites such as the Glowworm Caves and Milford Sound. The town, which has a population of just over 2,500, has been struggling since the borders closed over a year ago. While the gimmick might give an extra hour of daylight at the end of the day, it would mean the people of Te Anau have to endure waking before dawn for an extra 4 weeks during the winter months. Nationwide shutdowns for COVID-19 have affected all sectors of the country. This includes South Island iwi Ngāi Tahu, which has been hit hard both as an organisation and as tangata whenua. We continue our 2-interview series with Te Runanga o Ngāi Tahu Chief Executive Arahia Bennett as she talks via Zoom with Daryl Baser about how people who whakapapa tū Ngāi Tahu are coping with COVID-19.
Kia ora, Arahia. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to have a kōrero with you.
COVID-19 has been pretty tough on all peoples in Aotearoa. What have you been hearing from people who whakapapa tū Ngāi Tahu?
Well, we have over 73,000 whānau members now, and we've been hearing a lot of feedback up and down the country, and even for our whānau members living over in Australia. But predominantly our whānau members live in Te Waiponamu, and we also have a number of our whānau living right throughout the North Island. Now, we've been hearing a lot around the significant stressors this time round, and that is mainly in the area where businesses, small businesses, have had to change or pause or stop. And this time round, we've spent a lot of time and energy working with government departments such as Ministry of Social Development to even go to the place of looking at pātaka kai, setting up small food hubs right throughout the country. In fact, predominantly in Christchurch, Otako, Dunedin, and Invercargill and over on the coast, there seems to be a lot less resources available to our whānaus.
With many businesses reducing hours or in some cases closing, what effect are you hearing that that's having on whānau?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, less income coming into the home, a lot more emotional stressors. As we are in, apart from Auckland, now where we're at the level 2 plus, there is a lot of sort of psychological distress amongst our whānau, and this is where we are calling on our papatapu runanga, our social service providers, our Māori health providers to actually assist and support whānau to actually look into those stressors, which could vary on a continuum from not having enough funding to pay the weekly bills, to not enough food, or maybe even job losses. So it's important for us to actually stay connected through our providers and not only support our whānau directly, but also support our providers and our papatapu runanga. That's our marae to actually help with those whānau in those particular areas.
That's really good to hear. How busy has the Ngāi Tahu office been during COVID?
Well, it's been extremely busy in addition to staff with their workloads in their business areas, because we've actually asked our staff to actually help out in food distribution, funding connections with government departments, talking with the government ministries from MIQ through to MB through to Ministry of Internal Affairs and Te Puni Kokiri, Māori Ministry of Māori Development. So at both ends, and working with whānau, while staff have already got their workload that they're supposed to be getting on with, and then at the other end, working with government and ministries to assist with strategic funding. It's actually been quite busy, and our role here at the office is to support staff members being able to work from home. We've had a number of essential services operating during COVID. So on a continuum of staff keeping busy, working from home, it's been extraordinarily a fast-paced role that they've had to undertake.
How are Ngāi Tahu doing in terms of being vaccinated against Maitake Korona?
The numbers, as you will have noticed across the country, the numbers around Māori have been a lot lower. And we are encouraging our whānau. We have pop-up vaccination centres on our marae, and that is right around our geographical area of Ngāi Tahu. And we know that we are figuring in that 30 to 40% vaccination area, and we're trying to lift our whānau to actually raise the numbers of vaccinations. So like many other pop-up vaccination centres, we have been running these out of marae. We've been encouraging whānau to take their carload full of whānau to the marae to get vaccinated. And we're going to continue to do that until we can keep lifting those numbers.
Ārahi Bennett, thank you very much for your time.
Kia ora.
After the break on the south today, a Southern Memorial sees a delay, and we take a look at the early week's weather. Hei koko ake nei.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Sharpen up! My mate John sharpened his pencil this weekend. So sharp, you'll cut yourself. No one beats John on price. This weekend only at...
And my mate John.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Hey, what have you got? Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent. Love it. Chicks World! Chicks World! Right.
Hoki mai anō. The work creating Dunedin's Baxter Memorial Peace Garden is now more or less complete. At the intersection of Albany and George Streets in Dunedin, the official opening has been delayed until the end of next month due to COVID-19 restrictions. The memorial commemorates World War I conscientious objectors such as Brighton resident Archibald Baxter. The sculpture to be unveiled at the site was designed by Shane Woolridge and is an abstract expression of the punishment Baxter and others had to endure. Called Field Punishment No. 1, it saw men tied for many hours to a pole set at tilt in front of enemy lines. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Southern Police have launched their updated drinking van and are warning motorists to stay sober behind the wheel. Opposing protesters clashed in the Octagon yesterday as Women's Suffrage Day was remembered. And an international women's organisation has celebrated a significant milestone in a colourful way in Gore. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome editor Barry Stewart. Kia ora, Barry.
Hello, Simon. Well, of course, the big news this afternoon, or 4 o'clock, was the announcement about the alert levels, and the Prime Minister tells us Auckland is going down to level 3, and the South stays the same at 2. However, there is a slight extension there. We're allowed gatherings of 100 people in some instances.
Closer to the old 2.
Close to the old 2, but slightly different, I believe. So all the details we'll have in the paper tomorrow. But it pretty much means pretty much the same situation. Yep. So we'll see how we go there. On another story, a damming audit of the Otago Corrections Facility has exposed numerous shortcomings in the prison's COVID-19 preparations. Yeah. So we have a look at that. There was a debate today on Three Waters at the Dunedin City Council, and that meeting ended without any sort of resolution. They're going back to the drawing board on that one.
Okay.
On our travel pages, we look at Hawke's Bay and how that has risen from its darkest days with a bit of vision and foresight, and now it's a shining example of Art Deco. So we take a travel to the Hawke's Bay, and you can still do that, of course, under the levels. We also catch up with Terry Davies, the Chief Executive of the Dunedin Stadium, and of course this weekend they were anticipating the 100th Test match between South Africa and the All Blacks.
Yeah.
So Terry will be a little disappointed when he watches they run around in Townsville of all places, but Mr Davies is optimistic as ever about bright and booming times ahead, so he looks at a few things that could be happening there, but yes, we all reflect back on what COVID has, how it's ravaged our recreation and activity, and of course that was a big one for the city as well. So
that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right.
And time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, looking at the remains of the Cadbury factory from another angle. To the situation, a westerly airflow prevails over southern districts this week, bringing plenty of rain to western areas, but only brief falls in the east. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, where the rain is 13 degrees for both Westport and Greymouth. Moving to the northeast, it's cloudy in Nelson on 16 degrees. The sun peeks through in Blenheim on 17. And it's partial cloud for all of Canterbury as well. Kaikoura on 17, Christchurch and Ashburton on 18 degrees. To the southern towns, 15 degrees everywhere tomorrow with rains easing. But while the Catlins has fresh northwesterlies, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can all expect a southwesterly change. To the Central Lakes, that southwesterly hits Te Anau on 15, while it's northwesterlies everywhere else. Some rain too. 14 degrees in Wanaka and Queenstown, 15 degrees in Alexandra. To the northern towns, northwesterlies across the board here, gusty inland, Twizel and Marama both experiencing some rain on 15 degrees, and the winds are fresh on the coast. Timaru and Oamaru could welcome rain later, both on 16 degrees. In Ōtepoti, Dunedin tonight, cloudy with northerly winds freshening and an overnight low of 9. Early showers tomorrow morning, worsen to heavier rain and north to northwest winds, both ease by evening with winds tending cooler southwest, a high of 16 and a low of 8 degrees. And Wednesday's cloudy, early southwest winds die out before tending northeast later on, a high of 14 and a low of 8. And Waihopai in Invercargill. Rain developing and northwesterlies developing tonight with an overnight low of 10. The rain eases across the day tomorrow as cooler southwesterlies develop, a high of 15 and a low of 9. It's cloudy and dry on Wednesday with moderate westerly winds, a high of 14 and a low of 9 degrees. That's the news this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube, like and subscribe to be notified of that southern news as it happens. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.